Hi ghouls and goblins, this is going to be a video outlining some ideas for readings which are Samhain themed. I'm going to start with a 6-card reading that I like to just simply call the Samhain reading. And I'm going to start with position 1. So up in the top left corner, this card is relating to roots, foundations, core truths and stability. So basically we're thinking about what's kind of buried deepest beneath the soil. What is your strong foundation? What do you know for certain at this time? What is the keystone? What is the thing that you can return to, that you know, that you feel pretty sure of? That is kind of your place from which to begin to build, kind of thing. I must admit the positions for this particular spread do go quite in depth, and they are open to interpretation certainly. But if you take it in accordance with how you want to do the reading and what you want to learn, what you want to pick up from the reading, then you can kind of decide really what roots, foundations, core truths and stability really means for you at this time. It could mean things to do with your beliefs, your thoughts, your decisions about a situation, etc., that you're fairly certain of. It could mean your ideas about what you want for the future. It could be related to who you are as a person, that kind of thing. So anything that you feel fairly certain of and that you feel you can kind of hang on to during a storm. The second position is relating to examining what's been lost and how to mourn. So really we are embracing that Samhain theme of goodbye, of farewell, of release, and of understanding that everything has its time, everything has its place, and sometimes when something has run its course, the best thing to do is to mourn, to grieve, to allow yourself that time, to really accept that something is over and that something new can actually begin to flourish. The third position in the top right is the darker aspects of self, flaws, mistakes, and how to make peace with the shadow. So this is really where you're doing your shadow work, and you're really looking into those parts of yourself that usually kind of feel quite murky, quite inaccessible, parts of yourself that maybe you're uncomfortable with or haven't been wanting to look at lately. And really Samhain is that time to get that stuff out on the table. It's a time when a lot of people are very attracted to the notion of shadow work, very attracted to the notion of integration of all parts of the psyche. So it's time with this particular card to actually look deeply into those parts of the psyche that you may have been trying to avoid, that may be causing trouble in your life, that you really need to face and integrate, so that those parts of the psyche can do their work on your behalf rather than forming pockets of resistance within you. So that's really what the third card position is all about. And then we start on the next line. The next position is fears, anxieties and the obstructive thoughts that hold you back. So with this card we are taking a look at what are your limiting beliefs, what are your negative thought patterns, and how are they having an effect on the situation or on your life in general, on your relationships potentially, or on your plans for the future. The fifth card in this reading is examining painful events in the past and putting pain to rest. So we're really looking at how you are processing what's gone on in the past, any ghosts which might still be kind of hanging around and clanging their chains, kind of making you feel repressed, making you feel like you kind of need to release and let go, and exploring how you can put pain to rest by understanding it, by accepting it, by moving with the flow of life and making your peace with what's been and gone. And then the last position is saying goodbye, moving on, closure, sorrow and acceptance. So you're really giving yourself that opportunity to think seriously about what you want to release, how to release it, and how to move on from there. So that's the Samhain reading. So the next spread I like to call the Fright Night spread. And this is another one that I devised specifically for Samhain. So the first position in the top left corner, I like this position to pertain to the fears that are holding you back. The second position I like to use to take a look at the person that you're afraid to be. Now this can be a really illuminating position in the spread, and actually I would say this spread overall is quite powerful. So you move on from that first position, which is kind of about the fears that are holding you back in the current moment, and then moving into that second position, the person that you're afraid to be. And this is really about self-actualization. It's about kind of coming to terms with what you could be, with your potential, and maybe why you're afraid of that, or what exactly it is you're afraid of becoming or embracing about yourself. The third card is the parts of yourself that you're scared of embracing. So now we're looking potentially at different traits that you might be scared to embrace. And a lot of things come up here about fear of failure, fear of success, fear of being judged, that kind of thing. So I really think it's good to have your journal handy when you're doing this particular spread. I think that a lot of meat can come off the bone. A lot of really great illuminating realizations can come out of this one. The fourth position is your ghosts. I also like to sometimes refer to this spread position as skeletons in the closet. So it's either ghosts or skeletons in the closet. So your ghosts would be things that haunt you, parts of the past that you haven't quite let go of, any areas of shame, embarrassment or resentment, things that are kind of still hanging around and lowering your vibration. Skeletons in the closet would kind of be the same thing, but I guess maybe it pertains more to things that you haven't accepted, things that you're trying to hide away, maybe things that you're not telling people that you perhaps should be telling people. So that kind of brings up thoughts about communication and how communication works to kind of lower resistance and help the dynamics between people. The exploration can really go anywhere, so it's quite an in-depth spread, I would say, this one. And the fifth position is about making peace with the dark side. This is quite open to interpretation according to what you're trying to get out of the spread and where your mentality is at the time of doing the spread. But I like to call this position making peace with the dark side. So you can do with that what you will. Some people like to use it in accordance with shadow work. Other people like to kind of look at their response to negativity and positivity and see how they feel about that kind of thing. Some people like to look at situations that are going on that perhaps feel quite dark and feel kind of quite unstable and unsafe, and kind of assessing how to make your peace with that and how to ultimately release it so that you can move on positively, or so that you can feel that you're dealing with it in a way which is in alignment with your core principles and values, which is often so important when difficult situations arise. So yeah, I call this one the Fright Night reading. And I really think it can go to some very interesting and profound places, so I hope that this one is also helpful. So this is a little 3-card reading called the Mini Samhain reading. This is one of the options that I've put on my Etsy shop this year, and it's been incredibly popular and I've really enjoyed doing them. The Mini Samhain reading basically consists of 3 positions. The first position kind of examines what it's time to release. It's the goodbye card, so it's really looking at what you can now say goodbye to, what you can shake off, what you can kind of mourn and kind of ultimately sever, ultimately kind of shake away. And the second position offers some help and advice for actually doing that. So it's really facilitating whatever the advice is from the goodbye card. The second position is kind of the facilitator. It explains more about how to actually do that, how to release and move forward. And then the third position in the spread is really the warning element position. So it's about the blind spot. It's about what might be hidden, what might not quite be understood yet, what you may have missed about the situation, any potential warnings. I know warning sometimes seems like a bit of an alarmist word, but really it's just a gentle cautionary card. So it kind of asks you to broaden your perspective, take a look at things that you might have missed about the situation or that you might not quite be realising about your life and where you need to go and what you could potentially do. So the third card in the spread can really be quite illuminating and can kind of shift your perception on its axis and get you thinking in a new way. So the final spread I want to show you is a Samhain resolutions spread. Now, as a great many of you watching this video will already know, Samhain is traditionally Witches' New Year. And the resolutions that we make at the time of Samhain are usually less to do with the outside world, with outer goals, with our potential in the tangible realm, and more to do with spiritual shifting, spiritual evolution, maybe what we want to achieve in our path, but also what we want to achieve with self-development and what we want to let go of in terms of baggage, in terms of negativity, in terms of limiting beliefs, and perhaps what we want to explore more, either in terms of deities and magical concepts, or indeed in terms of how we behave, how we conduct ourselves in relationships, how we bring our spiritual principles into our lives. So Samhain resolutions can be really exciting, and I kind of devised this very simple 6-card spread to help to get you thinking about what your Samhain resolutions would be. Again, this is a really good one for having your journal handy. So in the top left corner, the first position, this is to examine spiritual goals. Now you might want to draw more than one card for this. I sometimes draw 3, but really it's just basically examining the possibilities for spiritual goals and getting that ideas factory moving, getting that sort of inner mechanism of inspiration pumping to decide what it is that you want to do and what you want to achieve spiritually in the coming year. And the second position in this spread is the release position, so deciding what you want to release, what you want to let go of. The third position is receive. So here we're really thinking about what it is that we want to bring into our lives, what it is that once we've kind of let go of the baggage can actually be invited in. So really with release and receive, I like to think of these two cards as much like the idea that if your arms are full of stuff, you can't reach out and grab something new that seems interesting and fruitful and beneficial and purposeful, because your arms are full of old things that you maybe don't need so much anymore, but you're struggling to kind of drop them off. So release and receive actually help with that process of dropping off what's no longer serving you so you can pick up something much more delicious and full of substance. The fourth card is action. So really this is basically advice for how you can take action to move these goals into fruition, how you can make a start, the diligent work that you can do towards them from Samhain onwards. And you might want to draw 3 cards for this too. The healing card is the 5th card, so that's really kind of looking at any areas of healing that you may need to address, anything that's hurting, any areas of tension in the psyche. So this is also a really great thing to journal about too. And the final card is advice, so it's really just offering you that chance to have a card that gives you further encouragement, further reassurance, further support and further inspiration to move your goals into being. So altogether, these 6 cards will potentially help you to make really meaningful Samhain resolutions and really sort of start the new year, the spiritual new year, off in the right way. And just so you know, the freaky glowing skeleton hands are not obligatory, but they certainly do help. And I know at least one person is going to ask me which deck I'm using. It's the Thoth Tarot deck, the Aleister Crowley deck. And I really hope that these spreads have been helpful for you guys. Much love and a blessed Samhain for when it comes, although I'm sure I will talk about Samhain again before that time.